Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear fathers? Oh, where are our dear fathers? They are in the fields of plowing. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear mothers? Oh, where are our dear mothers? They are sowing seeds of gladness. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear children? Oh, where are our dear children? They are dancing on the mountain. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, how can I be lonely? Oh, how can I be lonely? Your loving arms around me. Day is a breaking in my soul. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is a breaking in my soul.
Good morning. Wasn't that beautiful this morning? Thank you, Allison, John, and Christina. Welcome, bienvenidos. Welcome to the North Parish Unitarian Universalist congregation serving the Merrimack Valley and beyond. It's really extra good to see you this morning because you made it with the time change, especially for all you parents out there whose kids' internal time clocks did not change. Happy International Women's Day today. Yes, and happy 138th anniversary of women being able to vote as part of the democratic process here at North Parish. It was on March 8th, this day in 1888, that the first 10 women were admitted into voting membership, and that was 243 years after men began voting as a congregation. And we do have to note that the women who joined were all white women, so there is still quite a ways to go for this congregation to claim full equality. And it would also be another 38 years before women could vote in national elections. But as we must remember, each step forward for equality is an important step. Amen? Amen. Amen. A special welcome to any newcomers, any visitors this morning. Welcome to those joining us remotely through Zoom and the camera in the back. Welcome to North Parish and this hour of refuge. I'd like to see where the kids are sitting. I see some of you. Oh, there's another one. Where are the kids? There they are. Oh, there's one. Okay, it's good to see you. I am wondering if you can help me lead the congregation in a short little chant this morning, okay? This is in honor of a man who died. He was a minister. His name was Reverend Jesse Jackson, and he's a guy who ran for president in 1988. And when he gave speeches, he used to invite people to say this: no matter how much money they had or where they lived or if they were in jail or what they looked like or what they could do or who they were. So here's a chant. If y'all can repeat after me, and kids, if you can help with this. Ready? I am somebody. I am somebody. One more time. I am somebody. That's great. As Unitarian Universalists, we agree that chant is for everyone. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, so hooray, hooray for us. I want to thank the young people for sharing some of their thoughts and drawings about what they give to North Parish. You can see those on the windowsills this morning. Whoever you are and wherever you are, however you are feeling this morning, whatever brought you here, whomever you love, you are so welcome. I'm glad you're here. Just by being together, we give each other hope. So let's say hello this morning. And you give me hope. Good morning. Let's turn to each other. Good morning. You give me hope. Good to see you. Good morning. You give me hope. You give me joy. If we're well greeted, when you're ready, I invite you to just, if you want to, put your hands over your heart, take a little breath. Let yourself arrive. Give yourself a little gratitude for making the effort to join us this morning. A little permission to lay down your burdens for the next hour. And maybe drop your hands in your lap or open them out and offer a little gratitude to each other, a little compassion. Enter into that state of receptivity that is worship, and take a breath. Our opening words are by Frederick Buechner. There are all different kinds of voices calling you to all kinds of different work. And the problem is to find out which is the voice of God rather than of society, say, or the superego or self-interest. By and large, a good rule for finding out is this: the kind of work God usually calls you to is the kind of work that A, you need to most do, and B, that the world most needs to be done. The place God calls you to, the place the Spirit of life and love calls you to, is the place where your deep gratitude and the world's deep hunger meet. So let's join in singing. We're going to sing a hymn. I think Reverend Jackson would like this one. It's number 1007 in your teal hymnal. There's a river flowing in my soul.
I love that one. Good morning, and welcome again to our service. My name is, can you hear me? This is on, okay. My name is Nancy Sarro, and I'm your worship assistant today. I have a few announcements to share. First, we ask that everyone put their phones in worship mode for the next hour. We often show applause using American Sign Language like this. After the service, you're invited to come downstairs for conversation, community, and a lunch sponsored by the Crossroads Concert Series team. So many thanks to them. There are stairs near the entry down there and an elevator through the door to my right. If you're a newcomer, you will find a visitor card in the pew rack. Please fill one out and put it in the collection plate. There are also cards in the pew for messages to Reverend Lee. You can read in the order of service and our weekly e-news about upcoming events and what is happening today after the service. We have a lot going on after the service today. In addition to the luncheon, there's youth choir rehearsal, 15 minutes of coffee and clarity about trusted sources of news, and at around 11:30, some soul singing in the chapel. And there's a meeting of parents of youth for those in 5th through 12th grade. Now, I think we have a special treat. I invite Keith Connors and Anna Choi to come forward.
Hi, everybody. Anna and I want to tell you about Ferry Beach. Ferry Beach is a beautiful UU retreat center on 32 acres and 1,000 feet of beachfront. In fact, how many people in here have been to Ferry Beach before by a raise of hands? Oh my God, that's awesome. Wow. So this year, what's important to know, our traditional fall retreat is now this May, the weekend of May 8th through the 10th. And some of us have gathered there before, but we want to share what's there for all of you.
Yeah, so those who had your hands up can tell you that Ferry Beach is really a lovely place for renewal, rejuvenation. We have activities like beach strolls, nature walks, pickup games like pickleball, tennis, and volleyball, bike rides, swimming, board games, campfires, poetry readings, and the annual Talent No Talent show.
Wow.
Where Cathy Slade can show you what she can do with a banana and an apple. We share meals in the dining hall and close the weekend with a beautiful outdoor church service. And you can come for the weekend or you can just come for the day.
So what I love about Ferry Beach is that it offers really deep social connection that I think really we all crave. And Jan Jones, who's the coordinator of Ferry Beach, Anna and I would really love to see many more come this year because it's kind of been declining and it was so much fun in its heyday when so many of us were there. So you can find more information about Ferry Beach through either Jan or me as co-coordinators or on the North Parish homepage or in the weekly e-news.
And I've already signed up, and I would love it if the kids could come.
Wait, Anna, I hear some music.
What?
Maybe we need to outperform the Red Bow Ferry with a song.
Yeah.
All right. Sunny day, a place for swim and play. On my way to a place within easy reach. Can you tell me how to get to Ferry Beach? Come and stay. You can be straight or gay. Ready to play. It's a great time for each. Can you tell me how to get to Ferry Beach? How to get to Ferry Beach?
Thank you, Anna and Keith. That was a treat, and you will be so proud of me because I have already signed up. Okay, those are our announcements. Those zooming into the service may wish to light a candle or a chalice at home, and I will invite Hayne Barnwell, Ben Faulkner, and Bill and Ann to come forward to light our sanctuary chalice. This ancient symbol of communion and equality, of mystics and heretics, reformers and refugees, artists, activists, and Unitarian Universalists everywhere.
Okay. Would you please join us in the chalice lighting words and unauthorizedly adding 4 words at the end? I'd like to add in no blood for oil. Empowered by love, we are an inclusive, free-thinking faith community that awakens curiosity, nourishes the spirit, encourages growth, and inspires compassionate action. No blood for oil.
So, I am wondering, a show of hands, do you like gifts? Do you like gifts? Yeah. What do you like more, giving gifts or getting gifts? There's no wrong answer, so we're not here to judge you. Do you like giving? Getting is better? So what is your favorite holiday where gifts are a part of the celebration? You just call it out. Christmas. Oh, Christmas. Anything else? Birthdays, yes, birthdays. And we have Gabriel up here, 40, never looked so good in his birthday crown. So there are also Hanukkah and Valentine's Day, Diwali, and maybe for your family it's Grandparents' Day. So when you think of these holidays that include giving and receiving gifts, I'm guessing you might think of these holidays as fun and full of joy. Forgot my hat. Did you know there's another time of year that's fun and full of joy and involves gifts? Anybody? That's right, Stewardship Pledge Month at North Parish. It's true. Each year at this time, we think about what gifts we can give to North Parish, and we learn about some of the gifts that other people are giving to North Parish as well. Last week in Religious Exploration, we gave everyone a kid version of the pledge card. It's similar to the one grown-ups fill out, but our kid version is way more fun because it has a place for artwork. In addition to having boxes to check for various potential gifts, such as helping out with coffee hour and that sort of thing, they were asked to draw a picture about what they think hope in action looks like. So today I have 3 friends from RE here with me, Gabriel, Jane, and Rose, to share their pledge cards with all of you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Gabe. I help out with RE. I help the kids. It's a lot of fun. So on my pledge card, I filled in other gifts I have to offer, and I said to help others fall in love with our church, because when I was a kid, the people that mentored me helped me fall in love with the church. So that's my goal when teaching RE. And then for my photo, I don't know if you could see this, but I drew everybody's welcome to church, and at the top I wrote, religious education is awesome, because it is, and I love it so much.
I checked every single box because I'm going to at least try to do as many things I can as possible for this church. And I drew people protesting. I just think it was, I don't know.
So I also checked every box, and what Hope in Action looks like to me is protests and food donations, and also cleaning up trash in the neighborhood.
You, Rose and Jane and Gabriel. You guys can go have a seat if you'd like. Yay! If you would like to see more artwork and pledge cards from the kids after the service, Molly did a beautiful job framing all of them and putting them up all around the sanctuary. And now it's time for our kids to go to religious exploration. Our junior and senior high youth are exploring colonialism with the help of Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl. And our younger children will be exploring how powerful paying attention can be and how it relates to our UU values of generosity and equity through learning and activity stations. So please join me in singing the kids to their RE groups with This Little Light of Mine. The words are in your order of service.
That was great. I can't wait to look at all the other ones around the windows. March is Stewardship Month, and that's when we make our commitments to financially support the congregation the year to come, starting July 1st. And so far, I'm told we've received commitments of $365,000, 57% of the goal, yes. The theme, as you heard, is Hope in Action, and I'd like to invite Brenna Schneider to come forward to share a few words about what that means for her.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
A few years ago at Advent, Reverend Lee read a passage from Václav Havel called Hope. And in it he wrote, "Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something is worth doing no matter how it turns out." And for me, the deepest practice of this kind of hope is parenting. Mike and I found North Parish, I'm already getting emotional. Wow. Mike and I found North Parish when Gage joined our family. He was 3. Oh my goodness. He moved in as our foster son, but his case had already shifted from reunification to adoption. So we were really lucky to begin preparing to become a family from the moment he moved in. Whew. It felt important to both Mike and me to find a church where we could be part of a like-minded community who reinforces and lives our values. And we were also looking for a place to recharge and remind ourselves that the hard things we choose to do are worth doing even when, and especially when, the world around us can feel chaotic and disheartening. And like many things, choosing to become a family means we have no idea how things will turn out. And yet we believe that helping our children, discover who they are, face hard things, find their stand in the world, and feel loved as they are is worth doing. That work is easier and more powerful when held in community. And I thought I'd share a moment from this past year when I felt exactly why we are members of this church and why we support this church. If you came to the Red Bow Fair, you may have come across typically shy Gage walking around with Rose selling craft kits. If you were given the hard sell and asked if you had $5, that was Gage. The craft kits were a new idea this year, and we ended up selling almost $500 worth largely because Gage and Rose fleeced the entire fair. But that wasn't what stayed with me. What stayed with me was watching Gage run around the church like he owned the place. approaching adults he didn't know, looking up to Rose, who took him under her wing, proudly selling craft kits he helped put together, so full of confidence. There are so few places where kids get to practice those kinds of skills and be so warmly received by a supportive community. I felt how much it mattered because that week leading up to the fair had been a hard one. Gage had come home upset several days in a row because kids on the bus were making fun of him for singing. He sings in a way that helps soothe him, though it can sometimes feel hard for the kids around him. So it meant a lot to see him feeling so confident again. And after the fair, while we were cleaning up, I heard Gage in the hallway outside of the flex room singing. And then I heard Rose and Locke echoing every word and note right back to him. And I could have cried, clearly. I told him afterwards, this is what it feels like to be with friends who hear your song and want to join you instead of asking you to be quiet. Those are really cool friends, and I'm really glad they sang with you. I hope Gage grows up to be an adult who feels accepted and loved as he is. And I can already name countless moments at North Parish where he has felt that kind of acceptance. From that place of belonging, he can learn to love the world as it is too. North Parish asks us to show up as we are and makes room for our differences, our expressions, and our hopes. And for that reason, for our family, supporting this community is worth doing. And stewardship is one of the ways we can make sure that this church continues to offer hope and acceptance and belonging to our kids and to each other. Thanks.
Thank you, Brenna, so much. And thank you for all your work in RE and with the bridging students and everything else. Yeah. Our reading today is by the Reverend Dr. Polly Murray, who was a pioneering lawyer and legal scholar, an author, a poet, an Episcopal priest, a civil rights activist. She was arrested for sitting refusing to sit at the back of the bus in Virginia a full 15 years before Rosa Parks was arrested in Montgomery. So how many of you have heard of Polly Murray? 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay. Well, if you wonder who paved the way for civil rights successes in the 1960s, you'll want to remember her name, and you will, I hope, after this morning. Her collection of poetry is called The Dark Testament, and our reading is from her poem of the same name, verse 8. Hope is a crushed stalk between clenched fingers. Hope is a bird's wing broken by a stone. Hope is a word in a tuneless ditty, a word whispered with the wind, a dream of 40 acres and a mule, a cabin of one's own and a moment to rest, a name and place for one's children and children's children at last. Hope is a song in a weary throat. Give me a song of hope in a world where I can sing it. Give me a song of faith and a people to believe in it. Give me a song of kindliness and a country where I can live it. Give me a song of hope and love and a brown girl's heart to hear it. The words of Polly Murray. I'm going to invite us into our time of prayer, meditation, contemplation for each of you to use as you wish. Before we begin, you might want to roll your shoulders or soften or close your eyes, or maybe you look out the windows, relax your shoulders, breathe. We do have some stones up here if you'd like to drop one into this bowl of water to represent something that you want to let go or a joy or sorrow. We also have candles. If you'd like to light a candle silently or invite me to share your thoughts this morning by writing on one of the yellow slips of paper, you are welcome to do so during the musical meditation. So in a world that does include pain and suffering, may we be strong enough not to look away, and may we be wise enough to pay attention to beauty, hope, and joy.
of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I'd like this first candle to represent the sorrows, the concerns that we're carrying in our hearts this morning, and the love and the support and compassion that we send out to all. I light it for these, in part, for Mike and Brenna, whose thoughts are with their friend and UCC pastor, Maba Jonas, and her family, as she prepares for a double mastectomy tomorrow. So love out to all who are facing cancer. From Patty Braden, my mother, Jane Braden, passed peacefully away last week. She had just celebrated her 103rd birthday. A loving mom and deeply loved. Our hearts are with you, Patty, and with all who have lost. Also for a family friend of mine, a dear friend of my mother's, Nora Kyle, who passed away on Thursday. I'd like to light this candle to symbolize all of our gratitude, our joys, small and large, including these. From Jeff Martin, who says, Ramon, name used with consent, you bring me in the tire wood shop joy. Thank you. I love you, buddy. From Michelle, who is so grateful and thankful to be alive after having a very close call this past week. Michelle, we're glad you're here. Remembering with love my sister Linda on her upcoming memorial anniversary date, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, remembering her infectious laugh, and so extremely joyful and glad to have Finn and his girlfriend here today, Una. This is Una's first time in a UU church. Yay, welcome. So happy to have them both visiting well on their college spring break. And we have a request to chant on March 11th with a worldwide effort at 1 p.m. to chant for 1 minute these words, peace, love, unity, and hope. I'd like this candle to represent our concerns for all beings and for our wider world, including those lost in the ongoing wars in our world. And I light this candle to represent the secret struggles of every person and those joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts. May we be people who love one another and our neighbors, and may we be held in love at our beginning and at our end. Let's join in our response in your order of service. In our joys and in our sorrows, we are not alone. So I invite us to continue in this spirit, to settle into our breath. I'll offer a few words of meditation, and then we'll have some silence and a closing. The Reverend Michelle Collins writes, "Come, awaken your senses to this moment, where we practice the revolutionary act of noticing. The breath that sustains us, the beauty hiding in ordinary hours, the small things that keep hope alive. Come, let's train our attention on that which leads us home." I invite us into silence. Mark Nepo writes, "Still yourself and listen, and soon in time, the mystery will begin to speak to you through its 1,000 disguises as life on earth." And I have to say, there's almost nothing I like better than hearing a baby during our silent meditation. Talk about one of life's and mystery's disguises as life on earth. Our offering will be gratefully received. Our offering is currently going each week to mutual aid efforts for people in the Merrimack Valley whose lives have been deeply impacted by family members who have been detained or deported by ICE. Our offering will be gratefully received.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of bright visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. We are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. Who we are.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Hope is a crushed stalk between clenched fingers. Hope is a bird's wing crushed by a stone. Hope is a word in a tuneless ditty. Hope is a song in a weary throat. When Polly Murray wrote these lines, and I'm just going to note, does anyone hear an echo? Are people hearing an echo this morning? Yes, okay. Maybe we can work on that up there. Just a funny little echo. It's really enough to hear me just once. We'll see if they can work on it. Anyway, so when she wrote those lines, I think she knew a thing or two about living with hope and also being weary. And I suspect so do we. Anyone feeling a bit weary this morning even? Feeling a bit weary, yeah. Sometimes it is very hard to be a person. It's hard to be a person. We might be weary due to personal challenges, family challenges, how about parenting, and so many snow days this winter, right? We might be weary because our bodies are tired or they're confused by the time change this morning. We might be feeling weary from the constant assault of all that's going on in the world. We might feel weary because there's just so much out there that hurts our spirits. And we might not have quite enough to restore them. And tell me if I'm wrong, but such weariness can make us want to go to bed and pull the covers over our heads. Am I right? Or just zone out in front of a screen? Yes. Weariness can make it a lot harder to keep on hoping or to get things done. So what might we learn from folks who not only do keep on hoping, but get a lot done despite this wearying world? And I would like to tell you about one of those people this morning, Polly Murray. It's International Women's Day, and seems appropriate. It's interesting, so many people don't know who she was. I didn't know who she was until she was assigned as her memoir was assigned to us to read in one of the classes I'm taking. Sorry, you're getting a lot of sermons influenced by my classes these days. It turns out she had an awful lot to do with moving both racial and gender equality forward in this nation, and I think her story deserves to be better known. Polly Murray was born in Baltimore, Maryland on November 20th, 1910. She had 5 siblings, but her life changed dramatically when her mother, who was a nurse, died of a cerebral hemorrhage in 1914. At age 4, Polly went to live with her maternal aunt and grandparents in Durham, North Carolina. Meanwhile, her dad, who was an educator, had suffered from typhoid fever and then depression. He ended up confined in a state mental hospital where he was killed by a white guard. But if you think tragedy like that would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. Her Aunt Pauline was a teacher. Polly had a thirst for learning, so after graduating from high school in 1926, she applied to the all-white University of North Carolina. Now, growing up in the South from about 1914 through the 1920s, Polly was well acquainted with Jim Crow. She knew the story, but she felt she belonged at UNC. Well, of course, she was rejected because she was black. But if you think being rejected would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. Polly Murray doubled down. Later, she came up with this motto: don't get mad, get smart. And that's what she did. She went to an all-girls college, Hunter College in New York City. Most of her classmates there were white. She graduated in 1933 in the midst of the Great Depression, which fell hardest on Black Americans. In 1936, she says she was saved by the WPA, a federal project focused on workers' education. And she went for a short time to a college, Brookwood Labor College, a labor college, imagine that, with labor organizers. Again, most of her classmates were white and male, quite different backgrounds than her own, but if you thought that those white men might kill her spirit, you'd be wrong. These men were also union organizers, which means they had stories about, as she wrote, being evicted, starved out, beaten, and jailed, about employers' use of violence, labor spies, court injunctions, yellow dog contracts, blacklisting, and other repressive devices. Terrible stories. But if you think beginning to see all these interconnected oppressions would kill her spirit, you'd be wrong. She wrote that there she began to see her cause as part of a universal cause of human freedom. And seeing that lessened her sense of isolation. It gave new importance to her work. It confirmed to her internally that equal treatment was her birthright. And even though she was fearful, that realization inspired her to act. Now, during World War II, there was a patchwork of Jim Crow laws, of course, all over the South. It led to these ridiculous and humiliating practices. For example, black bus passengers traveling from D.C. to Virginia had to move to the rear of interstate buses when the vehicle reached the midpoint of the Potomac River Bridge. So they'd have to stop the bus and move to the back. If you think practices like that would kill Polly's spirit, though, you were wrong. She tried to avoid segregated transportation as much as humanly possible, but then in 1940, one of her housemates, Adeline McBean, asked to go with her to North Carolina for the Easter holiday to visit her aunt. Now, McBean, who went by Mac, was apparently a self-assertive West Indian American who had never encountered Jim Crow segregation. As Murray wrote, I enjoyed Mac's company, but I had misgivings about inviting her to come with me. Well, soon they were on a bus headed towards Durham, North Carolina. It was crowded, and even though they were seated behind all the white passengers, the driver told them to move further back to these really uncomfortable seats. Well, Mac resisted. The driver threatened arrest. He left the bus. He returned with 2 police officers. Murray was scared. Mac was indignant. Conversation ensued. The 2 were arrested for disorderly conduct and creating a public disturbance. Mac promptly fainted. Eventually, they were taken to Petersburg City Prison and put in a very dirty jail cell. But if you think that being arrested and jailed would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. But that doesn't mean it was easy. It was 1940, 15 years before Rosa Parks was arrested on a bus, and the Reverend Dr. King Jr. led the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott, using Gandhi's method of nonviolent resistance, or truth force, called satyagraha. Well, guess what? Back in 1940, Murray had read a study of Gandhi's satyagraha, and she had pondered about using it in the United States. But neither she nor Mac had any experience with it. She would later write to a friend, "We did not plan our arrest intentionally. The situation developed, and having developed, we applied what we knew of satyagraha on the spot." They wrote a very polite letter requesting humane treatment according to prison regulations, which they saw on the wall. They wrote a very polite letter to the men in the jail who'd been catcalling them, telling them about what happened and why they were arrested. Eventually, Murray writes, all the prisoners in the jail were agreeing on the need for solidarity in the struggle for racial emancipation. Murray managed to get word to the NAACP, and they were looking for a test case to argue that that segregated interstate travel was unconstitutional. They met, and Murray watched the lawyers plan their strategy, and she was enthralled. They didn't win the case. But if you think that loss would kill her spirit, You would be wrong. 6 years later, in 1946, the Supreme Court, in the case of Morgan versus Virginia, would strike down the legality of segregated travel across state lines. Murray planted some of those seeds. And meanwhile, she went to law school and became a civil rights lawyer herself. In 1941, she was the first female student at the all-black, all-male Howard University Law School. And surprise, she found that sexism also existed there. But if you think that would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. Remember that motto, don't get mad, get smart? Well, she graduated at the top of her class in 1944 with a prestigious fellowship that would get her into Harvard Law for further graduate work, or so she thought. Harvard Law rejected her based on her sex. UNC rejected her again based on her race. But if you thought those injustices would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. And if Harvard and UNC thought that they could do this without garnering some very bad publicity, you would be wrong. Murray was exceedingly good at what she called confrontation by typewriter. She was a writer. She broadcast her experiences to point out injustices in the system. She wrote articles, papers, legal briefs, letters, soon a thesis and a dissertation. When institutions said no to Polly Murray doubled down. She enrolled at UC Berkeley to get her Master of Laws degree. Still later at Yale Law School to get her doctorate. She was the first black female to graduate from Yale Law with a doctorate. And at UC Berkeley, like she had back in her labor organizing days, she encountered people with different backgrounds than her own. One of her roommates was Mijeko Takita. Mijeko had lived for 3 years in an internment camp for Japanese Americans. Her grandparents were living in Nagasaki when the atomic bomb was dropped there. Another roommate, Eva Schiff, was Jewish, and she told stories, as Murray wrote, about the horror of small children being stoned and human beings being branded during the worst Nazi pogroms. When Eva studied what was happening in the Deep South in America, she told Polly, "My God, Polly, this is just what happened in Germany." There were those interconnected oppressions again. But if you thought that would kill her spirit, you'd be wrong. Polly doubled down. Her thesis was entitled "The Right to Equal Opportunity in Employment." Now, the parallels between the U.S. South and Germany were not lost on American blacks. As Murray watched fellow black law students head out to the battles of World War II, she called out, as she put it, the hypocrisy of a United States policy that condemned fascism abroad while tolerating an incipient fascism within its own borders. She co-wrote an article that asked, is America willing to sacrifice life itself for her prejudices? It was maddening. But if you thought it would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. After her public fight with UNC, Murray had developed this correspondence with none other than the First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt. So she wrote to Eleanor. She wrote to Eleanor's husband, the president. She argued that someone had to make clear to the entire country that pursuit of fascist-like policies of racial supremacy was suicidal. The president didn't do as she wished, and Eleanor, in that case, defended him. But if you think that resistance from people in very high places would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. She doubled down. In 1944, while at Howard Law School, she wrote a paper arguing that it was time for a frontal assault on segregation, rather than continuing to try to prove unequal accommodations on a case-by-case-by-case basis. She said it was time to argue that separation itself was illegal under Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. She wrote, when she said this in her class, "One would have thought that I had proposed that we attempt to tear down the Washington Monument or the Statue of Liberty." From her male classmates, first astonishment, then derisive laughter greeted what seemed to me to be an obvious solution. My approach was considered too visionary. But if you thought that derisive laughter from her classmates, her male classmates, would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. As she put it, opposition to an idea I deeply cared about always aroused my latent mule-headedness. Anyone out there can associate with that? So she wrote a paper arguing that the separate but equal doctrine of Plessy versus Ferguson was to place black people in an inferior social and legal position and to do violence to the personality of the individual affected, whether they were white or black. She used psychological and sociological data to support her argument, and she made a $10 bet with her professor that Plessy versus Ferguson would be overturned within 25 years. Polly Murray took the long view. In fact, it was just 10 years later, in Brown versus the Board of Education, that it was overturned. And much, much later, after this, in 1963, Polly was visiting her old law school, and she talked to her professor. She collected her $10. But she learned that, he had passed her paper. He mentioned this casually. He had passed her paper onto Thurgood Marshall, who used Murray's argument before the Supreme Court, arguing that Jim Crow did psychological harm to every child. There you go. Never heard of her, right? Her groundbreaking contributions continued. They are just too many to name. In her lifetime, she would belong to and volunteer or work for a whole host of civil rights organizations with a whole host of very prominent leaders who she accused of sexism. She worked for the Workers' Defense League, the Fellowship of Reconciliation, the March on Washington movement, the NAACP, the American Civil Liberties Union, the American Jewish Congress's Commission on Law and Social Action. She served on President Kennedy's Commission on the Status of Women, and she would be rejected for a U.S. State Department position during the McCarthy era because her references were too radical. By the way, those references were Eleanor Roosevelt, Thurgood Marshall, and A. Philip Randolph. Too radical. People, we've been here before. She was the first woman hired by a large New York law firm. She coined the term Jane Crow to refer to the double indignities borne by black women, a perspective that we now call intersectionality. In 1964, she was co-counsel in a case that drew parallels between Jim Crow laws and sex discrimination, Title VII. In 1966, she was co-counsel in a case that eliminated the use of discrimination in jury selection according to race or sex. Her work was later used as a basis for upholding LGBTQ rights. She met her own life partner in Irene Barlow, and in recent years, it has surfaced that Murray had questioned her gender and sexual identity and had asked repeatedly for hormone therapy. If she was alive today, she might identify not as a woman, as she does in her memoir, but as a trans man. She founded organizations, she taught, she wrote. She was a co-founder of CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality, the Civil Rights Movement. She was a co-founder of NOW, the National Organization of Women. In 1966, she later left because it didn't focus on the needs of black working women. She taught at Brandeis University, the Ghana School of Law. She wrote newspaper articles, legal briefs. In 1951, she wrote this very thick book on Jim Crow laws that Thurgood Marshall called the Bible for civil rights legislators. All the different laws, all the different Jim Crow laws in the South. And she wrote a book of poetry and a family biography called Proud Shoes, and that memoir. Finally, in 1973, at the age of 62, she began seminary after yet another fight to belong. And if you think being rejected by the Episcopal Church for priesthood would kill her spirit, you would be wrong. The first time she offered the Eucharist was at the same church in Chapel Hill where her grandmother had been baptized as an enslaved person. It's amazing how many hurdles she faced, how often she had to double down, how her spirit would not be killed, how even when so weary, she just kept planting these seeds of hope, looking at the long game, which when you think of it, that's our job too. Her motto, get smart, not mad. Her conviction, equality of treatment, was her birthright. Her goal to remove all barriers to full participation in all aspects of society. Her realization, her cause, was linked to a universal cause of human freedom, and therefore took on even greater significance. She once wrote, I discovered that joining others in the effort to overturn an entrenched system of injustice is often like running a relay. There were times I didn't even know the outcome of the race. Other times when it was my privilege to break the ribbon to the finish line. And still others when I shared an overwhelming sense of accomplishment and exhilaration, even though my contribution had been made early in the contest, not at its culmination. She died of pancreatic cancer in 1985 at the age of 85, but not before she finished her memoir. Not 85, 75. Her memoir is 569 pages long. It chronicles what it takes to bring about social change. In 2012, she was granted sainthood by the Episcopal Church, and her home in Durham, North Carolina is now the Polly Murray Center. There's a website if you're interested. She once wrote, "Hope is a song in a weary throat." A weary throat, but a song. And she also wrote this: "Give me a song of hope and a world where I can sing it. Give me a song of faith and a people to believe in it. Give me a song of kindliness and a country where I can live it. Give me a song of hope and love and a brown girl's heart to hear it." Thank you, Polly Murray. And let the people say amen. Amen. We're going to sing a little bit. We're going to sing a little bit. We're going to sing a little bit more. Thank you for sticking with me through that rather long sermon. Our hymn is number 1001 in the Teal hymnal. Thank you for singing with me this morning. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming to be together. I want to thank our wonderful musicians. Thank you, Kim and Alice and Christina and John. And thank you to our team up in the balcony. We see you. We love you. We thank you. Thank you to those who joined us on Zoom this morning. Thanks to everybody who's making this morning possible, including the folks who made lunch for us today. That's downstairs. Let's thank each other for showing up this morning and giving each other hope. Let's do that. Say out loud, you give me hope. You give me hope. You are somebody. Let's try that again. You are somebody. You give me hope. All right, let's keep some of that in our hearts and send it out to all around us. And if you will excuse me, for our closing words today, I would just like to say a version of what I was talking about this morning. Don't let the bastards kill your spirit. Amen.
We rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirits to guide us, rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, we rise, all of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, we rise, up on the wreckage, rise, with tears and with courage, rise, fighting for life, we rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, we rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirits to guide us, rise,
The words of our very own endless revolution.